A police officer sits vulnerable in his own bathroom, unaware that his ex-wife stands in the doorway with his loaded gun. 4 shots shatter the silence. In 15 seconds, a father's life ends and a little boy loses everything. Daniel Green loved being a cop. Every morning in Tulare County, California, he'd put on his Exeter Police Department uniform with the kind of pride that comes from knowing you're making a difference. His colleagues at the station knew him as hard-nosed, by the book, the kind of officer who took his oath seriously. But what they couldn't see was the man beneath the badge, a man who desperately wanted the one thing his profession couldn't protect, a family. On his days off, Daniel traded his patrol car for a motorcycle, riding with Team Flatline, a local club where the roar of engines meant freedom. The name sounds ominous, Team Flatline, but for Daniel, it represented something pure. Riding until you go, living for the love of the open road. His friend James Bonds, yes, that's his real name, understood this need for escape. Some people go hunting, some people drink, but when you're on a bike, you're just free. At 31 years old, Daniel seemed to have it all figured out. He had his career, his motorcycle, his close-knit siblings, identical twin brother James, and younger sister Ashley. The 3 of them were a team, forged by a childhood that taught them to protect each other. And then there was Tyler, his 2-year-old son, the child who had changed everything, whose photos flooded Daniel's Facebook feed daily. That was his pride and joy, his reason for selling the beloved motorcycle. His future. The Instagram post from late January 2015 showed Daniel with a new girlfriend, 20-year-old Brenda Vella. He was smiling, genuinely happy for the first time in years. Friends said he talked about her like she might be around forever. After years of chaos, Daniel Green was finally building the life he'd always wanted. 1 week later, he would be dead. The morning starts normally enough in the small town of Goshen, nestled in California's Central Valley among farmland and orchards. Daniel drops off his son Tyler at his ex-wife's mother's house, then heads to the gym. It's a routine he follows religiously, maintaining the physical fitness required for his job. After his workout, he drives home to his modest house on a quiet street, planning to shower and report for his shift at the police station. He parks his truck in the driveway. The February air is cool but pleasant. He unlocks his front door, enters his sanctuary, unaware that sanctuary has been violated. Inside the home, hidden in his son's bedroom closet, Erica Sandoval waits with 2 of his own guns in her hands. Daniel moves through his house, down the hallway toward the bathroom. He's thinking about work, about his shift starting soon. His lieutenant will be expecting him. He never makes it to that shift. The bathroom door is open. Daniel sits down, in that most vulnerable, most human of moments. And then he sees her, his ex-wife, the mother of his child, standing in the doorway with a gun raised. Erica? His voice carries confusion, maybe fear. She fires. The first bullet strikes his hand as he instinctively raises it. The second tears through his chest. The third rips into his neck. Daniel stumbles, falls backward into the bathtub, and the 4th and final shot, the execution shot, enters his forehead. 4 bullets, 4 seconds. The man who spent his career protecting others dies defenseless in his own home, killed by the woman he once loved. At the Exeter Police Department, Daniel's twin brother James, also a police officer at the time, arrives for his shift. He asks the lieutenant where Daniel is. The answer doesn't come, but the gut feeling does that terrible, knowing that something is catastrophically wrong. When the truth finally breaks through the static of disbelief, James cannot form words. His sister Ashley, waiting for news, begs him to tell her Daniel is okay. Just tell me he's okay. James can only say, I can't. Time stands still in Tulare County. The law enforcement community reels. Here's a man who was literally on the toilet when he was shot, executed, ambushed at a moment when he was most vulnerable. The sanctity and privacy of his own home meant nothing. No neighbors heard the shots or called 911. No eyewitnesses saw the killer enter or leave. The murder weapon is gone. District Attorney Tim Ward stands before the press, his voice tight with controlled fury. This was nothing other than a cold-blooded, calculated execution. The investigation begins, but for Daniel's family, the nightmare has just started. Ashley sleeps next to a gun that night, terrified this might be work-related, that whoever killed her brother might come for them next. James and Ashley struggle to comprehend a world where their protector, the brother who stood between them and their abusive stepfather, who taught them survival, who embodied strength, is simply gone. My life will forever be changed by this, Ashley will later say, her voice breaking. We will never be the same, never. To understand how Daniel Green ended up murdered in his bathroom, you have to go back to late 2009, when he met Erica Sandoval. At that point, Daniel was known as something of a serial dater. For about 2 years, every family function featured someone new. His siblings joked about it, teased him about his revolving door of girlfriends. Daniel liked to date, liked the attention, perhaps, definitely liked companionship. But when Erica walked into his life, that revolving door stopped spinning. Erica Sandoval came from a close-knit, middle-class family in Southern California. The only daughter among brothers, she was treated like a princess, spoiled in every kind of way, according to her brother Stephen. When she turned 15, her family threw her a traditional quinceañera, celebrating her transition to womanhood with all the ceremony and love their culture demanded. Erica's whole life was in front of her. She wanted to find the right guy, start a family, build something stable. Her friend Maria Ramirez remembers the first time Erica talked about Daniel. She was just like, cold-colored his eyes, and that he was so nice to her, and she was just in heaven. Daniel felt the same magnetic pull. His brother James recalls Daniel being infatuated, excited like a little kid getting candy. All Daniel truly wanted was a family. That's all he ever wanted. And Erica seemed like the partner who could give him that dream. Less than a year after meeting in 2010, Daniel and Erica surprised everyone by getting married in Las Vegas. Daniel was 26, Erica 23. James got a text message at 10 p.m. with a picture of their marriage license. Weeks later, Erica's family threw them a wedding reception, where Erica did it up big, complete with a wedding gown. It seemed like a happy beginning. But Daniel's motorcycle buddy Frank noticed warning signs even before the wedding. He pulled Daniel aside. "Dude, don't marry this chick. What made Frank say that?" It was all the incidents at the house. The incidents were terrifying. Erica would fly into rages when things didn't go her way. During one episode, she took a razor blade and systematically cut up the couch and mattress, stabbed holes in the walls, and spread pancake syrup all over the carpet, a ridiculous, disturbing amount of vandalism. When she was pleasant, she was wonderful to be around. But when she was nasty, the bad was really, really bad. James saw the damage firsthand. Both he and Ashley, on separate occasions, heard their brother crying after Erica verbally destroyed him. "It devastated me to hear my brother crying," Ashley remembers, "and to hear the way that she was talking to him. It broke my heart." The pattern was familiar to the Green siblings, and that made it even more painful. They had grown up in a troubled home with an abusive stepfather who hit them with his hands, with belts, with boards, whatever was laying around. Their stepfather had a long criminal record: assault, domestic violence, driving under the influence. The Green boys often took the brunt to protect little Ashley, who would crawl into bed with her brothers when she got scared. Now, years later, Daniel was trapped in his own cycle of abuse. Only this time, he was the one constantly being controlled, isolated, verbally, and emotionally abused. As a police officer, he would run into women experiencing domestic violence. Did he not recognize himself in that same situation? I think he did, Ashley reflects. He just probably felt like he had nothing he could do about it. Maybe he was trapped in a cycle. Katie Meyer, chief executive of Tulare Family Services, explains that men don't come forward for many of the same reasons women don't: shame, disbelief, the societal expectation that men should be able to handle themselves. Her shelter recently expanded to include rooms for men fleeing female partners. Property damage, like what Erica did cutting up mattresses and couches, is absolutely domestic abuse. It's a threat. If I can do this to your property, if I can do this to the things you love, what can I do to you? But Maria Ramirez, Erica's friend, heard a different story. Erica told her constantly that Daniel would grab her and choke her, that she felt like she was going to pass out. According to Erica, Daniel was the abuser, and his status as a cop made her afraid to report anything. The truth, as in many toxic relationships documented in true crime investigations, likely lies somewhere in the complexity. Both were caught in a destructive cycle, each triggering the worst in the other. The crisis point came in February 2011. Neighbor Josh Miller witnessed a confrontation where Erica was cussing at Daniel, seemingly trying to provoke him into putting hands on her. But Daniel knew as an officer he couldn't risk his career. He told Josh to call the cops. Both Daniel and Erica were arrested for domestic abuse, though no charges were filed against either. That was supposed to be the end. Divorce papers were filed. The marriage officially ended in January 2012, barely a year after it began. James remembers thinking Daniel escaped without anything terrible happening, that maybe he could get peace and be happy. Then came the news. Erica was pregnant with Daniel's child. Jesus, James thought, he's stuck with her for 18 years. The pregnancy changes everything. In spring 2012, Erica tells Maria Ramirez about the baby, and Maria can hear the mixed emotions in her voice. Despite the divorce, despite the toxicity, Erica moves back in with Daniel. His siblings are apprehensive but hopeful. When she got pregnant with Tyler, James recalls, "We're going to put all of the past behind us. We're going to try and bring her into our family and see what happens." Tyler is born the 5th of January 2013. Daniel's friend has no doubt that day was the happiest day of Daniel's life. The proud father floods Facebook with photos of his son. He even sells his beloved motorcycle, that symbol of freedom, to focus entirely on fatherhood. It changes him. Tyler becomes his life, his pride and joy. For a while, things seem better. There are times where everything is good, they're happy, Ashley remembers, but Facebook isn't real life, and behind closed doors, the tension mounts again. A big part of Daniel's identity was riding his motorcycle, and Erica despised that bike. She hated that he could get on it and take off, escaping to somewhere she couldn't reach him, couldn't control him, couldn't sit next to him in the passenger seat yelling at him. One day, Daniel is out riding with his friend Mark Cortez when they reach a busy intersection. Cortez watches in shock as Daniel blows right through a red light. When they stop, Daniel shows him why. Someone cut his brake lines. All the wires were cut up. Daniel has no question about who did it. Erica. Erica denies cutting brake lines, telling a friend she just snipped wires. It's a chilling incident, attempted murder, arguably, but Daniel never reports it to the police. He hides a lot of what's happening from his siblings, probably knowing it would upset them. Despite the chaos, despite the danger, Daniel continues living with Erica. Why? The answer is complicated, rooted in that traumatic bond Katie Meyer talks about, the pattern established in childhood, the desperate desire to keep his son close. In June 2013, about 6 months after Tyler's birth, Daniel finally asks Erica to move out. She does, but takes Tyler with her. Tyler's absence devastates Daniel and galvanizes him to fight for custody. The couple begins a war of words, nasty and contentious text messages that become part of court records. There's a lot of bitterness and anger throughout these texts, Daniel's lawyer will later note. Daniel calls Erica some very bad names. Erica does the same. And yet, inexplicably, no matter how bad it gets, the draw is still there. The couple continues to spend occasional nights together. Children raised in homes with domestic violence are much more likely to end up in these types of relationships going forward, Meyer explains. You will model relationships that have been modeled for you. In fall 2014, the relationship reaches a terrifying new low. Daniel tells friends he woke up one night to find Erica pointing a gun at his head. She had dreamed he was with another woman. She tells him she's going to kill him if he leaves her, if he cheats on her. They separate again, but come together in January 2015 for Tyler's second birthday party. James and Ashley watch them closely. It's 1 month before Daniel's murder, and the siblings are cautiously optimistic. Before everyone leaves, Daniel kisses Erica on the cheek. Maybe it's gonna happen, Ashley thinks. Maybe it's the right time now. Maybe they're finally growing up. But then, weeks later, Daniel tells friends he's dating someone new, Brenda Vella, 20 years old. He posts that fateful Instagram photo. Friends say he talks about her like she might be around forever. According to those close to the case covered extensively by 48 Hours, this is what set everything off. Erica has been holding on, believing Daniel would come back, that they'd eventually reunite as a family. The new girlfriend, young, pretty, getting close to Tyler represents the final unacceptable reality that Daniel has truly moved on. One of Daniel's friends will later say, "I truly thought one day that she was going to kill him." That day comes on the 6th of February 2015. When fellow officers discover Daniel's body that afternoon, the investigation begins with more questions than answers. Detectives know Daniel is divorced and living alone. They know he had a tumultuous relationship with Erica Sandoval, but she rushes to the scene after a friend texts her, appearing distraught, crying when she speaks with police. Initially, she denies seeing Daniel that day. If this had been years earlier, Ashley admits, "I think I would have automatically assumed it was her." But the family had seen Daniel and Erica together just a month before at Tyler's birthday party, and there hadn't seemed to be any tension. So investigators consider other possibilities. Was this work-related? Did Daniel make an enemy on the job? The execution style, shooting one bullet directly into the forehead, makes them consider whether this was a professional hit. But the forensic evidence tells a story. 4 bullets, 4 shots at close range. The trajectory suggests someone standing in the bathroom doorway while Daniel sat on the toilet. This is intimate violence, not a professional killing. And when detectives dig deeper into the relationship history, the domestic violence reports, the toxic pattern, suspicion crystallizes around Erica Sandoval. The next day, sheriff's deputies bring her in for questioning. This is where her stories start to shift, as documented in the recorded interviews that become crucial to this true crime investigation. Initially, Erica maintains she hasn't been inside Daniel's house in weeks. Then investigators reveal their trump card. A neighbor's surveillance camera captured video of a female entering Daniel's home that day. They can't actually identify the woman in the grainy footage, but they don't tell Erica that. They tell her they know it's her. The bluff works. Confronted with what she believes is definitive proof, Erica's story changes. Yes, she was there. Yes, she went inside. And yes, she killed Daniel Green. Detectives place her under arrest. According to their reports, she confesses and leads them to an empty lot where they recover the murder weapon, a Car 9mm handgun belonging to Daniel himself. Erica used his own gun to kill him. The evidence seems overwhelming: motive, opportunity, confession, and the murder weapon. But District Attorney Tim Ward knows that in court, nothing is guaranteed, especially when domestic violence complicates the narrative. Nearly 5 years pass before the case finally goes to trial. On the 1st of October 2019, the first-degree murder trial begins. If convicted of murder with the special circumstance of lying in wait, Erica Sandoval could face the death penalty. Assistant District Attorney Thomas Olivatos lays out the prosecution's theory. Erica killed Daniel 1 week after he posted that Instagram photo with his new girlfriend. The evidence of motive seems clear. When Erica was booked, investigators found a yellow sticky note in her purse with Brenda Vella's name and birth year written on it. In the days leading up to the murder, Erica bombarded Daniel with 167 phone calls. When Erica found out the girl was hanging out with her son, a friend will testify, that kind of made her snap. Olivato shows the jury nasty text messages, plays recordings Daniel made of their fights. The prosecution's narrative is straightforward. This is a jealous ex-wife who couldn't accept that Daniel had moved on, who killed him in a calculated act of revenge. But defense attorney David Chambers has a different story to tell. He shifts the spotlight away from Erica and onto Daniel himself, essentially putting the dead police officer on trial for the way he treated his ex-wife. At the end of the day, he was abusive, Chambers argues. He plays Daniel's recordings of their verbal battles, like one where they're fighting over baby Tyler. Get them back to me. Don't touch me. You. The audio is ugly, chaotic, both people screaming. Chambers argues these recordings show Daniel's controlling behavior, his need to document everything, his psychological manipulation. Then Chambers takes an extraordinary and risky step. He puts Erica Sandoval on the stand. It's not an easy decision, but they make it collectively, betting that the jury needs to hear directly from her. In her testimony, Erica presents a litany of abuse allegations. She claims Daniel grabbed her by the shirt, shaking her while yelling in her face, "You know I could kill you," and make it look like an accident. She says he grabbed her by the ponytail and slammed her head into the dashboard while she was holding Tyler. She says she rarely reported this abuse because Daniel was a cop, and who would believe her? The prosecution counters that it appears the objective is to murder his memory. As horrible as the relationship was, they point out that Erica admits she and Daniel continued to have sex, even having phone sex on the 5th of February 2015, just 1 day before she killed him. "Why did you feel like you had to do those things?" Chambers asks her. "I preferred a happy Daniel as a boss and angry Daniel," she responds. Then Erica describes the 6th of February 2015. She testifies that she showed up at Daniel's house to snoop around. She saw the kitchen window was open, took off the screen, and climbed inside. Moving through the house, she grabbed 2 of Daniel's guns. Then she spotted his open safe. And this is where her testimony takes a shocking turn that catches everyone off guard. Inside the safe, Erica claims she found photographs depicting child pornography. "The first picture I saw," she testifies, "it was like a girl. She looked to be maybe like 12, 13 next to her bed." The courtroom erupts in confusion. This is the very first time anyone has heard this allegation. "That was the first time we ever heard that or anything close to that," Ward says later, his voice tight with anger and disbelief. Erica insists she saw these photos, claims they made her think about Daniel's sexual fantasies, about him wanting her to wear schoolgirl outfits, about her son being around someone watching this kind of stuff. She's building a narrative of protective motherhood, of justified horror. No such photos were ever found. Ward will later call it a disgusting lie, designed to make the jury feel Daniel's not worth a murder charge, to devalue him as a human being. But Chambers counters that Daniel had hundreds of pornographic videos and photos of adults on his devices, and that 17,000 images were somehow deleted from his phone in the years before he died. "Why would somebody need to delete that many photographs?" Chambers asks rhetorically. Erica continues her testimony, describing how she heard Daniel's truck pull up, how she panicked and hid in Tyler's bedroom closet with the 2 loaded guns. She heard him come down the hallway. When Daniel was in the bathroom, she says she stepped out of the closet and stood in front of him. He was on the toilet. As soon as he saw me, he started getting up. As soon as he started raising, I raised my arm. I shot many times. I didn't know how many times I shot, but you know I shot. It's such a shocking admission that Chambers tries to soften it immediately. Do you regret what you did? Of course I regret it. Every day. I regret it every day. What does it cost you? My son? My family? On cross-examination, Alivados attacks her child pornography claim mercilessly. He forces her to look at crime scene photos of Daniel after she shot him. One of your shots went right through Daniel's neck. Yes, look at it. The prosecutor plays more recordings showing Erica as the aggressor, Daniel trying to de-escalate. Leave me alone, Daniel says on one recording. You're bothering me, I have to get ready for work. Go away. In his closing argument, Chambers presents both Erica and Daniel as victims and aggressors, tied together by a traumatic bond that's difficult to understand. Both trapped in their own way, both prisoners of a past, neither could escape. On the 20th of November 2019, the case goes to the jury. For nearly 4 days, 12 jurors deliberate. James and Ashley wait, terrified that one juror might have sympathy for Erica. My biggest fear is that she won't pay for what she's done, Ashley says. That fear becomes reality. The jury deadlocks at 11-1. One single juror refuses to convict Erica Sandoval of first-degree murder. Judge Joseph Kalashian has no choice but to declare a mistrial. 3 jurors later agree to discuss what happened in that jury room. They described the holdout juror as immovable, day after day, hour after hour, refusing to waver. She never gave much reasoning behind why she felt the way she did. Tensions got so high that 2 jurors actually started yelling at each other, getting emotionally involved. As for the child pornography allegations, the majority of jurors didn't believe it. There was never any picture that I saw, one juror says. You could tell she obviously lied on the stand. A lot of the trial was spent by the defense not defending her, but rather attacking Daniel. Another juror reflects on the complexity. I think jurors had empathy for her. They also had empathy for him. We saw just how vindictive and forceful she was towards him. And the question remained, why is she still staying there? Why is he still staying there? In the defense world, Chambers notes, a hung jury is always considered a win because it means you get to fight another day. But he acknowledges that Erica is struggling with the reality that she'll need to sit through yet another murder trial. Right now, she's processing a lot of emotions. She's kind of a whipsaw of emotions. The mistrial devastates Daniel's family. There's a hole that'll never be filled, James says. It'll never heal, ever. The case of Daniel Green and Erica Sandoval isn't just another true crime story. It's a window into the complex reality of domestic violence, showing how abuse doesn't discriminate based on gender, how trauma from childhood can echo through adult relationships, how people can become prisoners of patterns they never consciously chose. Daniel Green grew up watching his mother suffer abuse from his stepfather. He and his twin brother protected their little sister, took the beatings, learned that love could hurt. Then he found himself in a relationship where he was the one being controlled, isolated, verbally destroyed. As a police officer responding to domestic violence calls, did he see himself in those situations? Probably. Could he break free? No. Erica Sandoval, by her account and that of some who knew her, also suffered abuse. The truth likely lies in the messy middle, a mutually toxic relationship where both people hurt each other, where neither could leave, where each triggered the worst in the other. They were, in a very real sense, prisoners in paradise, 2 people who might have loved each other, trapped in a cycle that could only end in tragedy. But here's what cannot be lost in the complexity. Daniel Green is dead, shot 4 times in his own bathroom, in the most vulnerable moment imaginable, by the mother of his child. Whatever abuse occurred, whatever mutual toxicity existed, the solution was never murder. Daniel deserved to live. Tyler deserved to grow up with his father. The 48 hours true crime investigation into this case reveals uncomfortable truths about domestic violence that society still struggles to acknowledge. Men can be victims, women can be abusers. The cycle of violence that begins in childhood doesn't automatically break in adulthood. And toxic relationships can kill, sometimes literally, sometimes metaphorically, always devastatingly. Today, Tyler lives with his Uncle James and aunt, who adopted him after Erica's parental rights were terminated. James says the least he could do is make sure Tyler knows how much his father loved him. The boy will grow up seeing photos of Daniel in his police uniform, hearing stories about his motorcycle rides, learning about the man who wanted nothing more than to be a good father. Ashley keeps a photo of her twin brothers when they were both police officers. She cherishes it because it captures a moment when Daniel was living his dream, serving his community, being the protector he always wanted to be. That's who Daniel was, not the victim in the bathtub, but the officer who made a difference, the brother who took the beatings to protect his sister, the father who filled Facebook with photos of his son. The district attorney's office has vowed to retry Erica Sandoval. The pursuit of justice continues, though no verdict will bring Daniel back or heal the hole his death left in the lives of everyone who loved him. This true crime documentary case asks us to examine our assumptions about domestic violence, about who can be a victim and who can be an abuser. It challenges us to recognize warning signs, to take seriously the destruction of property as a precursor to worse violence, to understand that cycles of abuse perpetuate through generations unless consciously broken. Most importantly, it reminds us that behind every statistic about domestic violence, there's a human being. Daniel Green was a son, a brother, a twin, a father, a friend, a police officer. He had dreams, he loved riding motorcycles and serving his community, he wanted a family, he adored his son. He deserved better than dying defenseless in his own home, killed by someone who claimed to love him. The motorcycle club he rode with Team Flatline takes its name from the commitment to ride until you go, until you flatline. Daniel lived that philosophy, riding through life with passion and purpose until Erica Sandoval decided his ride was over. As this 48 hours investigation shows, there are no simple answers in cases like this, only profound sadness, preventable tragedy, and the haunting question of what might have been if Daniel had been able to break free from the toxic cycle before it killed him. Tyler will grow up without his father. James lives with survivor's guilt, wondering if there was more he could have done to save his identical twin. Ashley's life is forever changed, marked by the hole that can never be filled. And somewhere, Erica Sandoval awaits her second trial, a woman who destroyed not just Daniel's life but her own, who made her son an orphan, who became the monster she perhaps once feared. The prisoners in paradise weren't just Daniel and Erica, they were all the people trapped by circumstance, by trauma, by choices made and not made, by love that turned lethal and couldn't find its way back to health. This is their story. This is the cost of domestic violence when it spirals unchecked. This is what happens when two people become prisoners of their own worst patterns, unable or unwilling to escape until escape becomes impossible. Daniel Green deserved justice. He deserved life. He deserved to watch his son grow up. The case continues, but the tragedy is already complete. A police officer murdered, a family shattered, a little boy left without either parent, and a community forced to confront the uncomfortable reality that the person who took Daniel's life was the same person he once loved enough to marry, to create a child with, to keep returning to despite every warning sign. In the end, perhaps the most profound lesson from this true crime investigation is the simplest. Domestic violence destroys lives, and love should never hurt this much. If Daniel's death means anything, let it be a warning to anyone trapped in a toxic cycle: get out before it's too late. Because sometimes, like Daniel Green discovered on the 6th of February 2015, there are no second chances. The case remains open, justice remains incomplete. But Daniel's memory lives on in his son, in his siblings, in the community he served, and in this story, a reminder that behind every true crime documentary, there are real people, real pain, and consequences that echo across generations. Asterisk. Rest in peace, Officer Daniel Green. Your ride is over, but you are not forgotten. Asterisk.